Welcome back to the discussion bringing clarity to the disruptive chaos of IT modernization, sponsored by SAIC on Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. My guest today is Sanjay Sardar, Vice President Modernization and Digital Transformation at SAIC. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. So many changes in the federal government, new systems coming and going, and one thing that maybe has to catch up that no one talks about is changes in the acquisition process. And if you Google federal acquisition, you'll probably get terms like OTA and terms like SBIR, and then a new one called the Centers of Excellence, or COE. So what is the COE and what role does it play with this acquisition model?
With the pace of technology that's changing so quickly, we have to keep up with on our acquisition side. We can't acquire things the way we used to because it takes too long. So we're seeing a lot of innovation happening in the acquisition models that include some of the things that you talked about. So in the non-traditional type contracting method, so we have things like OTAs, other transactional authorities, that are really used by DoD and some federal civilian agencies to promote the prototyping and innovation that we're seeing in commercial entities all over the place. OTAs are a really, really good way of trying to bring that in to the federal market. SAIC has been successful in working with several of our clients or customer agencies in helping them develop these OTAs and then compete them out so we can bring in rapid prototyping. SBIRs are very similar, the Small Business Innovation Resource. That is also being used for small businesses to do through grants to bring in innovation. So those are non-traditional ways of doing things that are still within federal acquisition guidelines, but maybe speed up the process a bit. Then also what we're seeing in the innovation side of the house there are organizations, agencies that are taking innovative approaches to how they acquire things. So DHS is a great example. DHS is really working with the industries to bring in new ideas of how to innovate and how to actually move that ball forward. And then finally, what you talked about, the COEs, the Center of Excellence. So this is an effort out of the White House Office of Innovation, worked through GSA, through TTS. The Centers of Excellence really are a way for agencies to modernize their systems in a rapid fashion. So when you look at USDA was the pilot lighthouse agencies for the Centers of Excellence. They identified specific domains where they can go out and contract out in a very agile fashion work to be done to improve and modernize their systems. So data analytics, visualization, infrastructure optimization, customer centers, and customer experience. All these are centers of excellence. They're domains where the government really wants to modernize. This was a fantastic way of doing it. Al Munoz, who's the contracting officer at GSA, who's running this program or has the contracting oversight for this program, has really made it a very fast turnaround. Within 4 months, they were able to put out phase one, which actually helped agencies define the requirements. And then within 6 weeks, they were able to get out phase two and contract it out, which is where we are. SAIC is actually very, very heavily involved in the Centers of Excellence, especially for USDA. We are working on the infrastructure modernization, the data analytics, the data visualization parts of it, and we're very excited to help support this program. It's a very innovative program as it goes on from USDA to HUD. The whole concept is every time you do something, every time you procure one of these things, you learn a little bit more. So agencies are learning from each other in this acquisition process. Very innovative way of doing it.
Sanjay, we're sitting here about 4 miles away from Georgetown University on campus. There's that big MBA building. It's a beautiful building. And I'm sure if we were walking a classroom there, we'd heard terms like technology business management, TBM. And it really sounds really impressive or something. So what does it mean for our listeners? What does it mean for SAIC and helping our federal agencies?
So technology business management really is It is that. It is managing the business of technology. It is about providing transparency and accountability to these IT efforts and tying them into a financial framework that can be used across government, across industry. TBM has actually taken off as a framework. That's what it is. As you can align different concepts together, the CFO's organization, the business folks, the financial folks, and the technology folks are now all speaking the same language. So when they say how much value is something worth or how much value is this project, they start to understand in the same terms what is the benefit that the agency is getting. So TBM is a really good way of starting to do that. TBM is not a new idea. It's a new model, new framework, but the idea has been around for a while where we've been trying to align business value to technology efforts. That's where SAIC comes in, is we really look at the whole infrastructure, the whole enterprise architecture, and start helping agencies align this correctly. So when different parts of the agency are talking about business value, they're talking in the same terms and they're seeing it all in a transparent, accountable manner.
But I wrote that word transparent. It's so important today because we have new acquisition models, we have new technology models, we have new ways of people coming and going, CIOs are new. This really seems to be a key concept, transparency and SAIC to help our federal agencies.
We are very happy to help our federal agencies, and we are a very mission-driven organization. We very much understand that the impact to mission is something that is just sacrosanct. You can't mess that up. So when we do modernization, when we look at implementing new technologies, when we look at changing things, when we bring in all these things that are happening in the modern world today, we look at things like organizational change management. We look at how that plays in, how that impacts the organization, and really take all that into account when we are finishing and building our systems.
I'm just going to repeat something we mentioned earlier, that modernization for federal agencies working with SAIC really means to expand the agency capability on many different fronts, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. Modernization is all about helping agencies deliver their services, deliver on their mission in a much more effective and efficient way. Modernization is complex. We're talking about disruptive technologies. We're talking about new things that are happening. We want to be able to help manage that chaos and simplify how agencies are going to do things in the future.
I'd like to thank today's guest, Sanjay Sardar, Vice President, Modernization and Digital Transformation, SAIC. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, and you're listening to Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search SAIC.